Don't know how to start this. Don't make it as uncomfortable as the last time. Different approach. There we go, that's much better. Good evening, guys. This is the third time I have filmed this intro because I got through editing the whole video and decided I didn't like it, didn't like watching it. It was uncomfortable. So I'm redoing it for a third time. So this is the third time I've put on this red flannel, trying to make it look consistent. And it would be the third time I'm wearing this shirt if I could find the band shirt I was wearing the other day, but I can't. So here it is. You get the front bottoms today. This is why I've had to redo it 3 times, because it's just uncomfortable and I don't know what to say. Today I want to make a video about my bullet journal and how I use my bullet journal as an aerialist. I've always been someone who likes having a planner, having calendars, and I very much prefer writing things down by hand rather than using my phone to track it. I know a lot of people use their cell phones to track things, but I very much prefer writing them down, getting my thoughts out on paper. I think it's very therapeutic and nice. And I really like my bullet journal to let out my creativity. I started bullet journaling when I was in college. When I had a bunch of free time at my job, I would just doodle in my notebooks and stuff, and I decided I wanted a place to compile all of them so that I would have them and get to keep them instead of just throwing away random pages where I took notes for work. So this is my 3rd year bullet journaling, and this is my 1st year having finished it, so 2021 will be my 4th year. Normally I stop in like October for whatever reason, or I miss a couple months in the summer and then I just give up. So this year I've actually finished it completely, and I'm very proud of myself for it. I really like having a full bullet journal. I really like my bullet journals to look really messy and eclectic by the end of it, so my layouts are kind of all over the place. I change my weekly layouts pretty regularly. My theme is kind of whatever I want to do. I get everything off Pinterest. I don't draw anything from my own brain except for like leaves, because those are really easy for me to draw. I've got some layouts I'm really excited to use for 2021 and some things I'm transferring over from my 2020 bullet journal and moving to the front so that I can use them all year round instead of them getting lost in the middle of my pages. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and set up my 2021 bullet journal, and then I'll do a flip through of my 2020 bullet journal. And I'll have a separate video for going over goal setting for 2021 and 2020. I want to make that a thing every month, a series where I sit down and set goals and review goals for the next month, because I really like doing that every single month, and it'll be fun to talk through those and see what other people have planned and what they're focusing on that month. So anyway, let's get started. The bullet journal I'm using for 2021 is a Leuchtturm 1917 dotted bullet journal. Here I also used a Leuchtturm 1917 dotted bullet journal, and the previous 2 years I just used cheap little $10 books from Amazon, but after doing it for 2 years I thought I was committed enough to go ahead and spend a little more money on it, and went ahead and got this hardcover, and I like it a lot more. The cover doesn't fold back, it's got that little sash that keeps it closed, so I really like that. This is the first year I've done a cover page, actually, because the first page of my bullet journal always intimidates me. I always want to do something really cool, and I'm so nervous I'm going to mess it up, and it'll just be the first page of my bullet journal, and it's bad. So after 3 years of doing this, I figured I should go ahead and do it. I do a monthly cover page, and those always turn out really nice. At least I think so. I always like them. So I figured I could do one for 2021 and be happy with it. I always like the witchy themes the best, so I went ahead and did something with the moon and plants and leaves, because I find that easiest to draw. And then sparkles and diamonds are really easy to add to it as well. And I did go back and fix up a bunch of these lines later, because you can see how shaky they are. But later I went through and I added some hatch shading and colored them in with my Tombow markers, as you'll see here in a little bit. But overall, I really am happy with how this turned out. I really like it. I knew it would be safe going with a witchy theme, because again, I'm always drawn to that kind of thing. And to get the moon, I used a pencil holder at work, and I used quarters and nickels to get the smaller circles on the side there. I get all my references off Pinterest, so this is just a conglomeration of different things I had seen online and used as references. I do like doing the banners a lot. See at the end of my 2020 bullet journal where I started doing that and started practicing in the back of my journal. And this font I use for 2021 is a font I use all the time because it's really easy to replicate. Moving on to my future log, this is where I draw the entire calendar layout for the year, where I can write down things I know are happening in the future. So if something comes up, an important date that comes months away for a month I haven't set up yet, I can go ahead and write it down, and when I set up for that month or that week, I can go back to the front and copy it over. It's usually big things like, I know in September I'm going to Riot Fest, hopefully. I was supposed to go in 2020, but of course that didn't work out. In March, I know I already have a doctor's appointment, so I'll go ahead and write that in there. Birthdays, holidays, days off from work, vacation plans, usually what goes in the front of my bullet journal. This is a new layout, I haven't done this before. You'll see in my 2020 bullet journal, the layout is done across 4 different pages, so you can't see the whole year all at once. And I do really like that I can see all 12 months here, and I can look at the calendars very easily. This page does take forever to set up, but I really enjoy having it. It makes it really convenient, and it's nice to be able to look at all the dates. And here's my little girl Catbug. She is a little over a year old, and she is very much a baby. Very soft, very sharp, very cute. And you see here, I am writing in the months. Later I do decide that I don't want to do that. I had already decided I wanted to black it out and use white ink, but I had forgotten by this point. So you'll see me finish this and immediately go and black it all out. And then I go over it with white gel pen, but you really can't see it from this angle on the camera. But I promise you can see it in real life, and it looks really cool. I like to do it. It adds a little something extra to an otherwise boring layout. And moving on to my goals section, here you'll see I break them down into 2021 goals, and then that is also broken down into Circus goals. Then I also write down 5-year goals and 10-year goals, and if you've watched my first video, you'll know that I fully intend on owning an aerial studio one day, so I'm going to go ahead and write that in my 10-year goals. My 5-year goals might be to own a rig, maybe be working for a circus, hopefully be working for a circus. In 5 years, I will be 30. In 10 years, I'll, of course, be 35. And again, I did go through later and add more detail when I filled this out. Right now, my setup for recording this is my phone is on top of my glass coffee table, shooting through the tabletop, and I'm sitting on the floor drawing, and this is my rug you see underneath the bullet journal. And again, these circles were made using quarters and nickels while I was sitting at work. This is another page that I'm adding to 2021. In 2020, I would just write down routine ideas on random pages. You know, if I had the idea, I'd write it down on whatever week I was on, or maybe I'd write them down in the back so I could see them a little more regularly. But this year, I wanted them right in the forefront so I'd have somewhere to put them and have somewhere to look at them. You also see I had a Circus companies page, and this is one that I had in my 2020 journal. And this is where I write down if I come across any circus companies I think I could work for in the future, companies that I don't think are too talented for me, companies I think I would fit in with and could actually make it as a performer in. So I write down that company when I come across them, usually on Instagram. I do intend on moving out of Ohio eventually, so it's nice to have this list of cities that have circuses that I think I could work for. So I do fully intend on moving to work for a circus. This is another new layout for 2021. It is a videos idea page. And you'll see I copy over all the ideas I had in my old bullet journal to this one, and it takes up the entirety of the page. So luckily I do have that list page right next to it so it can spill over and have more. This is another new layout for 2020. This is a budgeting page, less of a budgeting page, more of an expense and income tracking page. So I've got 12 boxes in each of these categories. I've got one for the money I make from my full-time job, one for the money I make as an aerialist, how much money I'm putting into savings every month, how much money I'm spent in total, and then how much are going towards my student loans, how much I spend on aerial, eating out, gas, necessities, things like that. I think it'll be really nice to have all those numbers right in front of me at the end of the month. And then here is another budgeting page, and in this page I'm going to write down my monthly bills, monthly expenses that are pretty common and consistent. And then I'm also going to write down my budgeting goals. So I want to put away 20% of my full-time job paycheck every month into savings, how much I want to contribute to my aerial account, how all the money I make from aerials is going to go into my aerial account, and how that's going to be used on just aerial things. So that is the end of my 2021 yearly layout. Overall, I'm really excited by how this layout turned out. I really like it. I did go through and clean it all up and make it a little neater and add in some more color, clean up the lines that were a little messy, and fix some of the circles. And here is the full flip through. So I start with some random lists. Again, no cover page because they make me nervous. Here's my future log. You can see how the layout is not all 12 months in the same 2 pages. It is spread out over 4, and I didn't really care for that. My circus companies page, you can see I just decided to add that in there randomly. And then February, I only started about halfway through. I didn't start from the beginning with that one for whatever reason, and the same thing happened with March. This might have been one of my favorite layouts, the Plague Doctor, after all of the COVID-19 stuff started. I'll have random song lyrics throughout. Any song lyrics I like, I'll just write them down. If I don't like the way it looks, I'll stop halfway through, as you can This This is another layout I really liked with the sketchy style. It's okay if it looks messy because the whole thing is shaded and looks messy in general. The random bits of washi tape throughout here are where I covered up phone numbers and email addresses and passwords I had written down, which is another reason I had to film this so many different times. This is the 4th or 5th time I've recorded myself flipping through this journal because I had it and I was happy with it and I realized I had a bunch of passwords visible in it. So I had to go through and recover all of those. I really like the layout I started doing around this month, where I had the full week on one side and then just a nearly completely blank page on the other side. It made it nice and roomy to write down whatever I wanted without anything being in the way. It was a very clean layout to start with and then ended however I wanted and had room to doodle. So this is the layout I kept for the rest of the year. I do really like it. I will probably go back to it in 2021. I did decide to just try out something new for January just because I'd been doing that layout since October, I think. In the back, I very often go back and practice fonts or what I want to draw, like my habit trackers, or if I've got doodles I want to test out before I commit to putting them on the page, then I'll go back there and try them out and practice them. And then I've got more Circus goals in the back, goals that didn't fit in with the beginning, goals that I didn't come up with till near the end of the year. Yeah, you can see my bullet journal is just a eclectic collection of all of my thoughts and anything I want to write down. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. I'm really looking forward to using this bullet journal in 2021. I really like the pages I've got in the front. I have a feeling they're going to fill up pretty quick. So we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, and I've still got the entire back of the bullet journal, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to try to upload videos weekly. I'm aiming for Mondays at 10 a.m. This is the 3rd video I am working on, so we'll see how consistent I can be. I am getting faster at editing. But yeah, I'm gonna aim for once a week. If that doesn't happen, that's okay with me. Again, I've got 0 followers, so really I'm screaming into the void here, so it doesn't matter.